This segment is being brought to you by Microsoft Visual Studio.
You've been working for Insomniac for 14 years or in the game industry period for 14 years?
Same for both. We started, I came right out of college, didn't know a thing about games, really. I mean, we were just winging it entirely. You know, over the years, we've just built up a little bit of expertise bit by bit. Right out of the gate, we did make a game called Disruptor, and originally it was a 3DO title. Right as we were making it was a time when it became apparent that 3DO wasn't really going to be a viable platform, so we jumped over to the PlayStation. Well, the first one that was ground up for the PlayStation was Spyro. We did that right after Disruptor. We sort of tried to accumulate all the lessons we learned, and like, okay, now if we want to do it right, let's start from scratch and try to do it right. We had no ideas after Disruptor of what to do next, and we were, literally blue skying every crazy idea we could think of, and that one just got kicked out. How about a game about a baby dragon? And it took us a couple of years, and it started out just 3 of us. By the end, I think there may have been 5 or 6 of us. Programmers did most of the effects. The computing horsepower of the PS1 was, it's not great. So you're coding a lot of these in assembly language, sort of, just to squeeze every cycle out you can. But yeah, I think people did some pretty cool things on effects-wise on the PS1.
What was it like the first time you got your hands on the next generation of consoles, the PS2, the Xbox, GameCube? What did the extra power that you have there sort of allow you to do that maybe you had always wanted to do with the original PlayStation?
No, I feel like some people get their hands on new hardware and have a lot of ideas. And I gotta admit, I'm more a person, I get my hands on new hardware and I think, oh crap. What are we gonna do with this? The first thing I think that everyone thinks of is graphics. It's like the obvious way to go, and I think when new consoles come out, it's what sort of everyone's judging you on anyway. And you can always look to the world of CG. People are always ahead of games in when it's doing non-real-time rendering. So what techniques that they've done can we now do? But the bigger question comes along a little later, which is, how can we improve the game?
It seems like people don't care as much about how intelligent the characters are in the game, or how the AI works, or the physics that are in the game. It seems like they care more about the actual glossing or the outer coding. How do you feel about that, being a developer?
People do focus on graphics and flashiness, but I think people do care a lot about the rest of it. It's just not, to some extent it's harder to talk about because it's harder you can't look at a screenshot and point to AI or physics. Really, the game becomes a pretty holistic thing. It's really how do the pieces fit together to make a whole, and that's really hard to talk about. But in terms of the games that people like, the games that have legs, that people will play, a year, 2 years, 5 years later, I think that really tends to be the games that, pushed for a balanced approach. It's really one of the things we're trying really hard to do with our games is, not focus on one aspect of technology over another, and push the online components, push physics, push the AI, kind of equally hard. And a downside is that I think other games will probably make a big splash in one area or another, but I think in the long run, you can make a better game by being, trying to be strong and balanced in every area.
Brought to you by Microsoft Visual Studio.